All right, it's Chris over at Dixieland Farm, and just got done with lunch. I just got the battery placed in my car. That's always great, like when something's wrong with your car and it's like really easy to fix, like the battery. You just go to AutoZone and just say, "Is it the battery?" And they run their checker and they go, "Yeah, it's the battery." If that thing actually works, maybe it's just always says you need a new battery, and then the guy replaces it, and then everything's back to normal. That's great. Car almost hit me though. He didn't look both ways when he was pulling out of his spot, and almost hit me. His friend was laughing at, at him almost hitting me, but I'm okay. Anyway, I while I was at lunch, I was reading a book. I read a lot of music books at lunch, and Ella got into this one. She bit this one up. So this is the 33 and a Third book about Radio City by Big Star. This is a great series. If you've never read the 33 and a Third books, they're not always factual. Sometimes they're actually fiction. Sometimes they're analysis. Sometimes they're just things inspired. It all depends on the author. So you have to. They're pretty uneven, but always interesting. So anyway, reading this book, there was a section in here that was the best thing I've ever read about record collecting, and I wanted to read it to you. So the author, Bruce Eaton, just did a concert with Alex Chilton. Alex was at his kind of a low point. This was kind of a nothing band up in Buffalo, and they sort of knew Alex Chilton enough. They were fans of Big Star. So they just called him up and would you come up to Buffalo and play a gig, and we'll be your backing band for $300? And he said, sure. So that's how bad it was in '79. Anyway, they had a great time, and this is right after they played a set, and they're in the bar. September Girls may have been the highlight of the show for me, but the song with the biggest impact of the evening belonged to Supertramp. After our set, we sat down at the table to cool off. Someone put a quarter in the jukebox, and the opening chords of the Logical song filled the club. Breakfast in America was a huge album at the time, one deemed totally uncool by any self-respecting rock snob. But before I could reflexively make a snide comment, Alex started to nod his head to the beat in a way that indicated approval. I believe that I felt confused and even horrified. One of the pitfalls of being a vinyl junkie is that you can easily turn into a rock snob, an insufferable bore, almost always male, with a hollow superiority complex based on one's record collection. At the time, I certainly qualified. With hindsight and experience, I've come to understand that rock snobbery is an exercise in oral flagellation, a way to punish yourself in the world because girls ignored you back in high school. Like, why would I even want to hang out with those cute girls who like the soccer players when I could stay at home and listen to Frank Zappa and make fun of them? You start out when you're a kid buying the music you actually like, and then you end up spending thousands of dollars over your lifetime on records that you think you should like. The more obscure and the more downright unlistenable, the better. You idiots with your Fleetwood Mac records are too stupid to appreciate those contorted shards of tortured feedback skittering over jackboot techno Burundi drums. If you're a rock snob, your record collection becomes your face of the world, a gradually shifting self-portrait, each record like a dot in a Seurat painting. If your favorite obscure band somehow gets popular, that's okay. You'll be able to remind everyone within earshot that you listened to them way back when they were better, and replace them in your collection with that Cajun sitar funk band that made a single album in 1972 that's unbelievably influential despite no one actually ever hearing it. Or perhaps you'll latch on to something that's so uncool, like the 101 Strings Play Live in Messina, that is desperately needs you to make it cool. Rock snobbery might not end when the girls finally look your way. You might actually believe that your rare Rocky Erickson record has something to do with it. I eventually married a woman who didn't know Arthur Lee from Peter Green, and 24 years later could still care less. What gets lost in all this rock snobbery is the simple point: music is meant to be enjoyed. It took a while for the lesson of the Logical song incident to become clear and sink in. One day I took a look at my playlist pile. The record stacked to my turntable that I was actually listening to repeatedly right up front was the decidedly uncool Behind Closed Doors by Charlie Rich. Truth was that there were a few songs on that record, like The Most Beautiful Girl in the World for starters, that connected with me in a way that all the supposed hip punk rock and avant-garde loft jazz records that I've been buying didn't. Those were gathering dust in the corner, having been played maybe once or twice, while the Silver Fox spun around and around the evening, keeping me company. Realized that at that moment that I liked what I liked, and that's all that was ever important. You could like a song, there needn't be any grand consideration beyond that. You could find pleasure in the Logical song, or Behind Closed Doors, without having a detailed, nuanced opinion about the artist or a context for all that matters. Liking a song didn't involve listening to the entire album and giving it a letter grade or a right number of stars or making a commitment to owning their records or buying a concert ticket. None of that. In the world where business focused on growing smalling numbers of new blockbuster albums and hothouses of hype and aficionados took pride in being miserable, Chilton looked through the other end of the telescope at the entire existing universes of songs, picked out something that grabbed him, and put together his own little musical solar system. He had found the freedom in knowing that a good song can come from anywhere if you keep your mind and ears open. If a record moves you in some way, then it was made just for you. Nothing else really mattered. There's no piece of music in the world that you have to like. That's it. Looks like a Colin Medicine Horse video in this one, huh? Anybody, thanks so much for watching. Take care.